Hello, welcome back. Let me just ask you a very simple question. How do you wish to engage? It's really a pretty fundamental question, and yet we don't hold that question in our consciousness in the 3D space we walk around. We get surprised, we're not prepared, we aligned from I'm not sure, what do I do, is this going to be good? We've learned to engage to a great extent from a place of hesitation quite often. That doesn't have to be doubt or fear. It's just, I'm not sure what's going to happen next. There's a hesitation. Now just kind of pause for a minute and see if you can have a sense of that word hesitation. Not good or bad, but do you hesitate? And then I'm going to assume the answer, yes, there's some hesitation. Always no, but sometimes yes. When I hesitate, where does that come from? What is the hesitation? What could happen that causes me to hesitate? It's not a deep emotional question. It's just exploration. We're exploring. We're going to play with this fourth, fifth, sixth ray. Now, kind of just allow whatever you come up with to be the answer right here. Just we're exploring, we're playing. In our life, there are patterns that we have that we are very unconscious about, and they create a doubt or just simply a hesitation. It's like a magnetic field. Well, it is a magnetic field that has a resistance in it. It has a magnetic repulsion in it, or maybe it pushes away, or it has a sense of slowing down motion. Really simple. Take a breath. Now, let me ask the question again, or a little differently. Just with that kind of run out, are you in the same place you were when the question was asked, where are you? And the answer is no. No. I've adjusted or I've moved, or in fact, time, space just moved through me. And remember, time and space move through you. You don't move through time and space. That's a big concept. It kind of changes everything when you allow that to be heard. But for this purpose, you're just still sitting in the chair, and what was a moment ago has now passed through you and is moving away, in sense of speaking. Now, take another breath, and would you just kind of notice yourself? Is your physiology different? You might have been very relaxed a minute ago. You might have a little bit more of a repositioning of your physicalness. I just notice it. Now, all of that occurred in a matter of just 2 or 3 minutes. It was here, I got asked a question, I repositioned myself, I went into a think, I moved into the future, I moved back into the past, I realigned myself. I was maybe in a particular place when I started, and I'm in a different place right now. That's what happens every second of your day. A lot of that happening is not on your creation, in a manner of speaking, but in the unconscious space of each one of us. It's very much, we've created this. This is exactly my habits, my procedures, my beliefs, my thoughts, my worries, my fears, my engagements, my joys. all of that basically built this moment. And when something steps in front of this moment, everything about what you have been to this moment kind of basically allows you to set this moment in motion. But we'll talk about this in a moment. But one of the things that is very different about the third dimensional game where we've been playing and the fifth dimensional game, we'll use that label, where we're going to play, we've said it a number of times, the vibration of fear and excitement are identical. One steps back, hesitates, withdraws, avoids, hides, depending on the intensity. The other steps forward, curious, excited, possibilities, opportunities. One is fifth dimensional, one is third dimensional. Now, we can argue the nuances, we could talk about the nuances. Well, but I'm in third dimension, I'm in fifth dimension. It's noise, it's all noise. Motion that flows uninhibited is in a higher state of vibration than motion that flows inhibited. We're going to simply, for this purpose today playing, we're going to label, we're going to start to get out of labels, but we're going to label the withdraw as third dimensional, the expansion, excitement, opportunity, possibility, fifth dimensional. They're just labels. Now, take a breath and kind of notice yourself, because we have just changed the energy and moved into a different alignment of energy than where we started a few minutes ago. Now, all that is just notice. There's no good or bad, right or wrong. There's just simply an awareness. In this awareness, the point is time, space is moving through me. And when I get present, aware, quiet, eyes wide open, even though I'm sitting in the same chair, the time and space are moving through me. And things happen. The phone rings, you get up to get a drink of water, you move your attention, you're constantly in motion, and time and space are moving through you. And do I like everything that happens to me? Do I have a belief that I'm in control of it, or I'm managing it, better word, and I'm getting what I choose. I'm experiencing how I wish to experience. Now, when the question is, what do you want? If you ask 100 people, pretty much 99 of them, and partly the last one, starts out by saying, I want to be happy. I want to enjoy myself. I want to laugh. I want to smile. I want to engage others. I want to feel comfortable. What do you want? But that's not my experience. Those same 99, most of them, maybe 90 of those 99 would say, that's not my experience. Sometimes. But where we're playing here on this moving sidewalks, great concept here, useful to keep in mind. See, much can, much is, much will fall away as we ride these moving sidewalks. That space of, I'm sitting here in my chair, I'm standing on my moving sidewalk, and I'm moving along, just like in your car. I'm looking out the window and car's not moving. I mean, the car's moving, but you're not moving. And yet everything is passing you by, moving through you. Figure of speech. Take another breath. So on this moving sidewalk, it's the opportunity to step out of hesitation. It's a choice. Let going is an opportunity to begin to enjoy, be excited about what's passing by. Just shifting the concept into the moving sidewalk and recognizing that time and space is moving through me and I have choice. Now, if I stay in that third dimensional experience, the magnetics are very sticky. They're very resistant. They drag. They don't flow. Third dimension, part of the rules and structures of the third dimensional game. But these moving sidewalks that we're beginning to point to, this stepping out of this 3D game into we'll call it a 5D game, the octave being a nice bridging element here. The opportunity to begin to reposition those hesitations. Now, in 3D, we would basically say, well, I've got to change my behavior, or I've got to think differently. That's not what happens on the moving sidewalk. The moving sidewalk begins to let you realize I have choice. I can engage or not engage. I can allow this to pass me by. I can hold on to it. I can slow the sidewalk down. I can enjoy for a moment that nice looking restaurant over there, that beach, that really lovely flower. I'm going to pause. I'm going to enjoy, and I'm going to move on. You can stay, linger as long as you want, and you can basically enjoy. Now, another breath. So the interesting thing, let's kind of take a little bit of this apart. Could you just kind of take another breath and sit back and let's answer the question, how do you wish to engage in what we're about to engage in? What words would you like to feel? Now, we'll talk about words and coding structures. Words are part of the code of your experience, the energy of creation. We'll talk about that in a minute. So a great part of where we're about to play is creating some awareness that is different, possibly, than the awareness that you've held in the past, 3D. The intention is to begin to recognize some creative applications of energy, we'll define that in a minute, in such a way that I can assemble energy comfortably to create what I wish to create. Now, in that statement, there is no hesitation. There is no, will I do it right? Because in this space, that time space that's passing through you is a function of how you dress yourself for the next moment, how you are able to rewire the codes that create doubt or fear or the game of the third dimension. So you've been very successful playing in this third dimensional game. Congratulations. That's a really an honest statement. Congratulations. Because when you go home, oh no, wrong statement. When you recognize you've never left home, you're going to step back into all that is consciousness. And you're going to step back with a set of experiences that has not been ever had before. This concept of separation from source, from consciousness, from all that is. That it's It's simply when the mutations started to take hold in the third and fourth dimensions, kind of, Uriel says, everybody was somewhat stunned in a way, and it was kind of fascinating. It wasn't like, oh, whoa, this is really bad stuff. It was like, wow, what do we do with this? See, there was no doubt or hesitation. It was like amazement. Nobody expected it, according to Metatron. And so it was like, wow, what do we do with this? And at the same time, we would like to do something with this. And so this amazement, this opportunity, this reconstructing energy. So this fourth, fifth, sixth ray where we're going to play today, we've done it in Mastering Alchemy. We've really kind of made it pretty simple. We've said, look, it's a, I don't need to hold on to this any longer. I'd like to loosen it up. Fourth ray, and the fourth ray loosens it up. Fifth ray, the workbench. That's pretty simple. Workbench. I get to put it here, examine it from neutral, move it around, decide, is there any part of that I wish to keep? Does it have any value? And if not, check it back into the library. I mean, how simple. And when you played with it, it worked. Every time you play with that, it worked. To a great extent, some of you recognized it works, some of you missed it, but somewhere along the way, 5, 6 weeks later, the question was, how are you doing? And the answer was, you're really pretty good. Something's changed. Well, what changed? I don't know. I don't know what changed. Something's changed. Are you more comfortable? Yeah, something's changed. Now, another breath. So let's redefine some of these definitions. Let's expand the definition. Let's just put a little bit more into this, because see, that definition of open it up, loosen it up, workbench, library, it worked well without being encumbered, without creating lots of thinking, without creating, is it working? It just kind of began to be a new habit. And that's exactly what it was designed for. A habit that replaces an old habit. Oh, we could call it a belief, but we'll make it simple, habit. And it worked. But in the fifth dimension, it will still work. There's nothing to add to it in real terms. But in the fifth dimension, as you kind of step from fear, hesitation, into excitement, curiosity, possibility, opportunity, curiosity, you start to ask, tell me more. What else does this fourth, fifth, sixth ray? What else do all the rays do? They do a lot. So let's see if we can define these definitions a little bit differently. So let's start with consciousness. And we're going to basically say consciousness is everything. Consciousness is all that is. Consciousness, let's call it the creator. The creator is consciousness. Every aspect of consciousness is the creator, all that is. Now, another breath. And the thing about consciousness is that it's very present. It's always there. But one of the things about the 3D game, the separation game, the rules, the restrictions, the hesitations, the magnetic tension did not engender movement. It gave hesitation a little room to move around, but passion, excitement, the opportunity, the curiosity. See, that's held in the fifth dimension. You've been in the fifth dimension all along, but the magnetics of the third dimension is what kept our attention. And the concept of us moving through time and space, in a way, kept waiting for something to happen. but it was happening all around us, but we hesitated. Now, another breath. There's a lot going on here. So yesterday, a number of you went unconscious in this conversation. Some of you are going unconscious right now. Perfect. Allow it. Because this moving sidewalk is simply, it's not moving flat. It's elevating. It's moving everything into this space where you're able to see time, space moving through you. Or the joy of pausing and saying to the fourth ray, make me a flower. And it does. Really exciting stuff. But I don't know that in the third dimensional experience. So another breath. Now this unconsciousness where some of you are, some of you went yesterday, perfect, really actually pretty good, because what's happening, that moving sidewalk is just moving you into aspects of consciousness that are known but unfamiliar from a third dimensional concept. And so what happens is you step into it and the wiring is not there. The wiring is not in place. And so consequently, I go unconscious. I can't hold on to it because the wiring's not in the physical, mental, emotional alignment. But what happens is you start to play in that unconscious space. And if I started to say to you where you were unconscious yesterday, the fascinating thing is you'd say, oh, I knew that. I didn't go unconscious. We would laugh, but no, I didn't go unconscious because I know what you said. Or you'd even challenge us. You'd say, well, what did you say? And we'd say X, Y, Z. And you'd say, I know that. I've always known that. Well, you'd be correct. You've always known it. But the wiring was not together. But when you go into that unconscious space, it's like I can draw what I know to me and I can begin to apply energy. So consciousness being all that is, creator, source, an intelligence, an awareness, a vast, all that is, consciousness. It's really that simple. There's two things, consciousness and energy. Everything else is noise to the third dimensional experience. But let's see if we can make some sense out of this. So as you begin to step onto these moving sidewalks, as you begin to play in that third dimensional space of open and close the fourth ray, the workbench, the library, you're really applying what you know that you've forgotten or you haven't remembered in such a way that you can, in a fifth dimensional space, because you go into it and it's like, wow, this is pretty good stuff. I'm liking this. You're in a fifth dimensional space. Now, we're going to call fifth dimension part of consciousness, and it's just a label of a layer of consciousness. That's all, just a layer. But in that layer, I'm not in 3D. And so the ability to say that emotion, I don't need this anymore. Check it back into the library. It works because you're in a fifth dimensional space, applying in a space that the magnetics don't hold you hostage. But right here, what's happening is when you go unconscious, you're on that moving sidewalk and you're putting pieces back together. And that's a big opportunity. So if you're unconscious, you go unconscious, make it okay. It's not a big deal. You know what's happening. So another breath. One of the aspects of consciousness that's unfolding and why these moving sidewalks, that reference is in play, is because many of you who have put that light body together, in fact, many of you who have just gone through all of the work of Mastering Alchemy, and a whole lot of you say, well, it was all really good, but when is it going to work? When is something going to change? When is it going to happen? When is? It's happening. But what's happening right now, you put everything into place, but in a way, we haven't turned on the switch, the octave. And so as you begin to move on these moving sidewalks, that space of that fifth dimensional ease and flow and joy and the gravity changes and it begins to be buoyant and it's like, this is really good. I like this. What happens is that light body begins to illuminate. It begins to turn on. It begins to do exactly what it's designed to do, is have you become conscious that you never left home. Never. You cannot be outside of consciousness. But we have convinced ourselves, and I'm not going to unconvince you if that's a place that we wish to hold. But these moving sidewalks are allowing you to basically begin to engage with consciousness in ways that you are doing it from an awareness. These rays of creation that we're going to play with here are building blocks of energy. So the creator, you, wish to do something. Every thought, every motion, every particle of your mental, emotional, spiritual, soul, oversoul, Christed oversoul, higher self, etheric body, all of those are you. Every part of that is made of consciousness. And it's a configuration of consciousness organized into an alignment with energy. Energy is the building blocks. Energy begins to be strung out in codes. If you think about one of the things beginning to be much more visible today in the world is coding, machine learning, coding computers, coding, that structure of putting into alignment what I want. I wish this to look like this. Now, you've all been playing with it all along. You write sentences, you write paragraphs, you simply write it out. All that is a line of code that says, this is what I want, period. If you don't put the period in, the next line of code runs right into it and then it gets mismatched. So missing a period, missing a comma, putting in an energetic that doesn't fit the objective begins to create a result, a perfect result. You get exactly what you coded, but it may not be what you want. Now, what happens in this fifth dimensional space, this moving sidewalks, playing in this octave, you're going to really like this because it goes from, oh my God, I failed, I didn't do it right, to, oops, that didn't work. That's kind of a big shift. And oops isn't even an issue. Oops is a, what is that? I'm curious. Now, why didn't that work? You're like the little kid that builds the blocks and builds the blocks, and everybody knows it's starting to lean, it's going to crash, and all of a sudden it crashes, and the little kid laughs and rebuilds it again. But this time, doesn't build it with the lean. Well, how did he know? How did she know to do it differently? It didn't work the other way. Now, take a breath because I'm purposely just kind of laying this out in this format because what you're asking is, how do I do this? So what do you want? Would you like to know how to do this? Yeah. Why? I want to be happy. I want, is this cute? This is interesting. Now, take another breath because some of you are very excited and you're very unconscious. Congratulations. Not a problem. So this aspect of fear and excitement, same vibration. And what happens is this place where we're setting this up is creating a lot of light in an area of choice that is beginning to be made conscious. Now, it's always been in consciousness, but I am becoming conscious of being conscious. And that leads to becoming conscious of being aware. And that leads to being aware of being aware. And in that space, there you are in consciousness. So the piece that we want to play with right here is, okay, I'm in consciousness. I have access to consciousness. How do I recode what I have put into alignment, habit, beliefs, into a vibrational level of excitement? How do I remove the hesitation and replace it with dress myself in excitement? Would that be interesting? Now, another breath. So we've said this fourth, fifth, and sixth ray, as I said a minute ago, just expand, loosen this up, tighten this down. I don't need this library. There's more to these, massively more to these rays of creation. And as you begin to play with them, you start to find that dressing yourself in curiosity, as an example, begins to open up consciousness in presentation that was there, but the curiosity wasn't there, the exploration wasn't there, the excitement wasn't there, the opportunity to just simply jump in and enjoy. Remember that space of, I'm so excited, I'm going to jump off the cliff and fly? That's what the octave is. So this fourth ray is very much about alignment and moves things around. Well, we've established that. But it appreciates the nature of consciousness, the nature of creation. It has the ability to find balance and play in the diversity of elements. Elements, we've been playing with elements, beginning to organize and reorganize into a pattern that simply recodes what was there previously. Now, the part that makes this exciting is you don't have to understand or remember or figure out the codes that built the third dimensional experience. All you have to do is decide, I want excitement. I want this. And so it's rearranging the periods and the nouns and the verbs, being as simple as I can, and rewriting the sentence. That's it, not complicated. And the interesting part is you know exactly how to do it. But it's not in the third dimension. It's not in that attention point. It's over here in this joy, excitement, this octave. The exciting thing about the octave, I've said it over and over, it's like you jump in the water, you get out, you're still wet. The octave begins to be a new habit. It's part of the consciousness. It's part of the elements of the fourth ray, creating, realigning. It has more. You begin to get to recognize you play with the color codes. Did you ever ask yourself, why are you rearranging all those chakras? Why are you changing that neuron messaging system in the brain? So that I can change the habits of the third dimension and remember myself. Another breath. Now kind of notice where you are, because this is it's very quiet energy. We're really stringing it out to allow you to absorb it. Some may be thinking, that's fine, but notice that you're thinking. In a way, this space where we're sitting right now is very much like a lullaby. It's an energetic alignment coding that basically says, do you remember? Another breath. Breathing's kind of important here, useful. This fifth ray, really, really valuable, fascinating, especially as you get to play in this consciousness. This fifth ray is kind of the workbench, the place to examine, explore. Do I need that? Do I keep part? Do I get rid of? It's really about concrete knowledge. It begins to have a massive amount of just knowingness. There's knowledge, the ability to think, not with the rational mind, but from the curiosity, the exploration, kind of the, how does this work? How can I make it really more exciting? Another breath, that fifth ray, all about neutrality, but it has a lot to do with balance, just like the fourth ray, very much about balance. The sixth ray begins to become more conscious. That sixth ray is kind of really about spiritual truths. It's in this alignment of consciousness. It's about simply this spiritual truth. How does it work? It's not truth as in third dimension. It's just, what is consciousness? The creator and I are one, and it's that exploration in that alignment with creator. 100% for creator, 100% for me. Oneness. Another breath. Now, that octave, that joy, that ease, that beauty, that sense of flow. The octave, in a lot of ways, is just simply an alignment of consciousness, alignment into energetic strings. Energetic strings that kind of hold vibrations of joy. There's an ease. There's no effort. It is very deep in terms of playing with that fourth, fifth, and sixth ray. It allows you quietness. It allows you to ask a question, how is this working? And you change the time space moving through you. The attention point shifts. Now, how would you like to experience yourself in the octave? Now, it's not a thinking process, it's a feeling. It's right here. Would you like joy? And there it is. So would you take a breath And would you pretend? See, this is where imagination is going to start to come in. Would you pretend? Would you make it up, make believe that you would like to be happy? It's kind of pretend if you need that. But it's that space of just simply being joy, being happy, being pleased with yourself, being comfortable. In fact, would you be right where you left off yesterday? Comfortable, relaxed, very present, and just in ease, just nothing going on. I like me. There's a smile. Now, for some, would you just notice if you're thinking? Are you pushing against it? It's like, well, no, it's not that easy, or I don't know where that is. Or just allow that. Not a problem. Just know that, recognize that, and then pretend. What would joy or happy feel like if you could pretend? I mean, like maybe find it in the smile, and then would you make the smile a little bigger, a little bigger, um, maybe a little bigger. And in that smile, that concept, I like me. Don't dive too deep into that. You know, we're still pretending, but if just pretend a little louder. I like me. I'm capable. And the smile has ease to it. It's just like sit back, relax, comfortable. Now, here in this octave, the fourth ray is much more fluid, mobile, has flexibility. It doesn't ask, are you sure? And how bad is it really? It just simply does what you ask. So, where this experience of fear and excitement, stepping back, hesitating, stepping forward, curious, opportunity, possibility, would you just simply, would you, which one feels better? And there's not a thought to this. Would you allow that sensation of hesitation? Now you felt it in the third dimension, not real deep, but would you just be aware of that feeling of hesitation? Just you're noticing, you're not diving in, you're just kind of noticing hesitation. Now, right here, hesitation is different than pausing to observe. Hesitation is, I don't know what to do. Now, we're going to kind of play this all at one time, fourth ray, fifth ray, sixth ray. Hesitation to pausing. I'm just going to begin to shift it. Fourth ray, would you simply loosen up this hesitation and would you realign it into pause to observe? Now, in this octave, I'm not looking for the problem. I'm not looking for fear. I'm not in that vibration. In fact, right here, I'm in excitement, but I'm right at the point of hesitation or curiosity. So Would you allow it to be shifted, to pause? Just pause. I'm going to pause to observe. Very much in line with the neutrality of that fifth ray. Kind of notice. Would you notice? Pause, hesitation. Would you notice one allows for forward movement, one doesn't, one stops forward movement? Would pause be supportive, allowing? Would it open up opportunity for permission to notice? And yet that pause is in neutral. It's just an observation. Pausing. Another breath. Now, if you kind of look at it as a color, it's really interesting. We've touched on this many times, but clear. Would you kind of be clear in your mind? Just really clear. Neutral, clear. Clear is a color. Oh, it's one of the ones you don't notice. It's clear. It's a color. It's a vibration all by itself. Clear. There's nothing that interferes with the application of clear. And when it's engaged with pause, I have opportunity to observe. I don't have to engage. I can stand here and pause for a long time. Nothing's pushing on me. Nothing's pulling on me. I can observe. Now, would you allow this concept of curious? Curious. Pausing, clear, curious. What it does is it realigns an attention point. You're changing the coding in the sentence. Hesitate. Oh, I'm going to hesitate. Oh, just going to pause. Do I do it with tension or do I do it with neutrality? Which one feels better? It's rewriting the software program. The interesting part is you are capable of rewriting the software program. You have been convinced in 3D. Oh, nothing to look at. Move on. We stole that from Star Wars. That was cool. But right here, there's a wisdom that begins to flow in the octave. There's an intelligence that begins to present that this pause, comfortable, begins to allow to flow into this space. This pause, choice begins to be made from wisdom. Now, can you just allow that concept of wisdom? That's maybe a new concept. Oh, I know the word, but there's a strength in the wisdom. It's very loose right here. There's nothing significant, but there's knowledge, there's wisdom, there's intelligence. Consciousness is simply beginning to be seen. From pause, curiosity, excitement. There's a smile. Can you allow that smile to engage with wisdom? And a new alignment, wisdom, curiosity, smile. The smile animates. It's like, oh yeah, this is good. Now another breath, would you just be comfortable? And you're kind of observing on that fifth ray platform, observing what you're creating. To a great extent, you're just simply allowing a realignment of what you have always been to move from unconscious to conscious and conscious to aware. This is who I am. Fourth ray is really remarkable. It's like such a cool tool. Fifth ray, point of balance, beginning to have knowledge, wisdom on that platform. Do I let this go? Do I keep it? What if I draw from consciousness this idea, this possibility is curiosity? Pursuit of truth, and truth, one with Creator. The will of the Creator and my will are one. The Creator and I are one. And that sixth ray, that sense of remembering, sense of beginning to recognize spiritual truth. Oh, there's that first ray again. The Creator and I are one. Now, would you be a little bit of amused here, a little amused, because here's all that's happening is here we are on that moving sidewalk, and a whole new attention point is just kind of moving past you. It's there to be seen. It's like, wow, this is really interesting. New landscape, new environment, stepping into deeper into this octave, the architecture, the excitement, the joy, the smile. You know, you're aware we're just talking. We're not even slowing down. We're really kind of offering a new landscape to observe and not giving you really any room to think, well, I'm not smart enough to do this. No, you are. You're smart enough to do this. But you see, we're kind of distracting you. But the interesting part is you're distracting you. You're the one who's asking, distract me so I can see all the good stuff. Good. Congratulations. You're successful. I like me. So would you just find that pause again? Pause while I'm doing this, slowing down this massive amount of wisdom that's being presented. Opportunity. I'm going to pause right here. like me. There's a smile. And what you notice, there are feelings that are available here that may not be consciously familiar from the third dimensional space particularly, but would you just simply allow yourself in this pause to absorb wisdom? It will be presented in color you may not see, but you may sound, you may hear, but basically it's an activation of awareness. I like me. I like me. And that smile, I like me, and the smile. And right here, I'm going to pause and I'm going to allow myself to absorb. Now, this is a little different in the third dimensional space. When you draw this much of a consciousness into the physical body, you go unconscious because it's too much. Not here. This isn't too much. This is not drawing it into the physical in the way of running it through the body. This is knowingness. This is awareness. This is, you'll sleep well. There will be a little bit of a growth period, but it's in the, whoa, this is really a whole lot. This is really pretty cool if you will allow it. You drop into the rational mind and try to figure out, what did I just do? The rational mind has zero idea of what we just did. You can pause. The rational mind right here cannot understand the pause. The rational mind has a lot of value, but it is not in this layer of consciousness. So if you can allow yourself to not have to figure out what you just did, what you just absorbed, what you just kind of amused yourself with, you're going to find over this next period of time, in fact, it's not even a period of time, you've just rewired a knowingness, a wisdom, a knowledge, an engagement with consciousness at a level that has not been available. Because you see, it's the octave, the bridge into consciousness. Now, just another breath and another pause. And would you be aware of comfortable, relaxed, comfortable? And the smile, pleased with myself. Now, another breath. There's no interruption here at all. Would you just simply also be aware you're sitting in a chair in a room and you're comfortable? And there's an awareness that's completely in and around you. It's not the space that you started in. And that doesn't matter. I'm comfortable, happy, pleased with myself. Smile, I like me. And would you just hold this alignment, and would you just allow your eyes to open very slowly, no hurry. A couple more breaths, and would you be really aware this was not a trance. This was not a, like, I'm going to meditate. This is a state of consciousness that you have access to. It's like walking into another room and getting a glass of water and coming back and sitting down in your chair. No difference. You wiggle your toes, open and close your hands, and just stay right here. I like me. Now, there's a space where we will play in the sleep space. It's beginning to be very active in your sleep space. Will you remember it in the morning? Maybe yes, maybe no. It's not important. It's simply a realignment. And the shift is no longer, I wish to go home. I am home. It's just simply looking with different eyes. Oh, we'll do that next month. Clairvoyance, how do you use that skill? It's allowing this alignment to be what you dress yourself in. So one more breath, let's come to a stopping place.